It's another fine day at Camp Dynasty. I am Counselor Austin, joined by Counselor Collin. And we are pre-recording an episode for you because Collin is taking an amazing vacation to...
I'm going to Maine. We're going to Acadia National Park, going for basically all of what will be this week for you. And so I obviously won't be able to record, but we got something fun planned regardless.
Yeah, when this releases, this episode, we will officially be on the precipice of college football beginning. We will be one day away. College football will kick off tomorrow. If you are listening to this on the day that it releases, we aren't quite there yet, but our future selves are very excited about that proposition because it's been a long wait. We kick it off. We come out of 2025. We're feeling energized. We're feeling ready to dive into a new class. We ran through it. We've done the thing. Now it's time to see these guys on the field. And that is always one of the most exciting moments of the entire year, is that first week getting to see all of the guys we've spent weeks talking about finally play football.
And we've been thinking about these guys and, maybe predicting what they're going to do for the season. And might we have something to help us out this week?
Ooh, yes, we do. Because last year we were digging around in one of the cabins and we found this weird looking ball. It looked like it was made of crystal. So we took the crystal ball and we spoke to it and it spoke back. And we used it to make a few predictions about what may be coming in the upcoming college football season relating to the players, the campers here at Camp Dynasty. So
sounds like a fun setup of a horror movie.
Right?
Like opening up camp for the year and like going into an old cabin and finding a crystal ball like in a bin from an old
anybody
camper.
Chooses to run with that idea, we just ask that you put us on the dedication page.
I would love to like come on as an executive producer and help make the film. I'd like that sounds sick.
Oh, I don't know why I was thinking a horror book. I guess that's just where my mind was going. But
because you're a writer.
That is why. Yeah. But regardless, we are here to break out the crystal ball to help us maybe do a little bit of uncovering of some secrets that may lie ahead for this college football season. Like I said, these are player-based predictions. This is not Clemson will win the national championship. This is not anything like that. These are predictions relating to players that we may or may not have already talked about through the summer. I know the crystal ball last year was kind of giving us some names to think about maybe, and I think that's going to be the case again. But let's dive into it. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I hear the crystal ball is speaking to me already.
Oh,
it says Arch Manning inside of it. It says that he will not declare. Oh,
we were so close.
So Arch Manning will not declare. We talked a little bit on the last episode. His grandfather came out and said, and like we said, we pre-recorded this. So if there's anything else that comes out since then to support or deny this, we'll see. But Arch Manning's grandfather said he will not be in the 2026 class, and I'm going to choose to believe that. I'm going to sit here and say, yeah, even though at Camp Dynasty, for all intents and purposes, we're going to act like Arch Manning is in this class until he's not, because that's what we do with all players. We don't treat anybody differently. If he decides to declare, and we've talked about him all year, that's a plus. If he hasn't, then we have a ton of material to look back on in 2027 for Arch Manning. So until then, it sounds like he's not going to declare. But I think it's still fun to talk about these players.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think if you, like you said, if you didn't listen last week, if you're not a super flex player or you weren't interested in that, I don't blame you. But we did talk about the fact that like Archie Manning came out and said like he will be at Texas about him, potentially being in the draft. So like it's one of those things where it's kind of like he said it out loud, like the quiet part out loud, like all these people being like, will he even be in the class? And he was like, no, he's not going to be in the class. But now everyone's going to be like, but are you serious? Like, are you serious? Like, is that real? When it's like we might get to the end of this season and it's all going to go the way that it was supposed to go, according to the way that everybody was talking about it, including the man himself. So, I mean, I don't disagree with you though that it's to keep Arch on top, like top of mind throughout the season. Obviously, it's a very exciting season just in general. Whether or not he's in the 26 class, 27 class doesn't matter. This is a very exciting season because we're talking about a player that is potentially one of these G word quarterback type of guys. And I know that word gets thrown out every 3 years and it doesn't really matter, but like, I feel like at this point, that's the best way we can describe a player that's like, this is like a real one, like I like Cam Ward a lot, but like he wasn't a G word, like the Arch could be.
Right.
So we'll see.
You can say generational. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
I was running through my head really quick to be like, is there a different G word that could be
Oh
used
yeah.
like
Right.
derogatorily?
Yeah. Archman is a gangster. Like no, yeah. I don't know if I'm ready to put the generational tag on him. And you aren't either, which is why you're kind of dancing around it. But he has the best chance to be like the special generational type of prospect, which is why we both had him ranked in our top 3 in our Superflex rankings. And he was my quarterback 1, now my quarterback 2, your quarterback 1. So if he doesn't declare, like, the quarterback class will be fine. It'll make the 2020 class even more interesting than it already is. So we'll see. But the crystal ball is telling me that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, the crystal ball does not lie, as we know, because all of our predictions last year were true. Don't
That's right.
fact check that, but just believe me. So I'm a little bit upset at the crystal ball, but it is what it is. Arch Manning will be at Texas in 2026.
I didn't check our predictions last year. I kind of interested in what we said.
I did, and I'm not gonna lie,
Did we do pretty
some of
good?
them were kind of astute. I'm just
Really?
saying. I wasn't gonna do this. I wasn't gonna
I
be like, hey, last year we told you that, because that's been the
That's the thing.
flavor of the week,
Yeah.
with the flavor of the last 3 months actually. But
Emeka
no,
Egbuka. What was our Emeka Egbuka take?
I don't
I
know
feel
if
like
we had.
he's good. I'm looking at our
Oh, we
description
do.
right now.
Oh wow, I didn't
Emeka
get that far
Egbuka,
then.
Ashton Genty. I feel like we were pretty
Genty,
good.
you were all over it,
Top 5. Ended
which
up being a little higher than that. Anyway, I can
what's
listen to
funny
that after.
what's funny is that a lot of my predictions related to players that are more relevant right now. Like
Right.
I had an Antonio Williams one, I had a Jeremy Bernard one, which we haven't talked about Bernard, but like he's potentially a name now for this class, not last year's class. So like I was a little bit ahead of the
Yeah,
ball. I
the crystal ball was looking too far ahead.
too far. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta gaze a little less far
Right.
into the ball. I gotta dial it back a little bit. But all right, the crystal ball. It's starting to smoke. It's starting to turn a hue of purple. It's looking a little strange right now. I'm mesmerized by it, and what I'm seeing is, oh, okay, the Penn State. I see the Nittany Lion logo. I see Drew Aller winding up for a deep pass, and he's connected with somebody. It seems like the crystal ball is trying to tell me that this new look Penn State wide receiver room is going to produce a player that we end up talking about come draft time next year. I think the crystal ball is alluding to the fact that Penn State has brought in three players, three transfers. They needed a lot of help. If we remember back to last year, Penn State had a great season. A lot of that due to Drew Aller and Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's gone. The others are still there, but the wide receiver room, as good as those other players are, needed help. So they brought in three guys. And I think the one, to me and to the crystal ball, that stands out the most is Devontae Ross, the wide receiver from Troy, who is transferring to Penn State. Ross is on the small side, 5'11", 170.
Add him to the list.
Add him to the list. This has been the meme in this class. But he played Z wide receiver. He's on the outside for Troy. And I think that's where he will play, given the names and the makeup that are coming in to Penn State this upcoming season. I think Ross slots in at the Z role. And he's an absolute burner. I mean, he is the sort of player that's playing off the line of scrimmage and just, getting over the top, working down the field consistently. He's got a little bit of yak ability as well. Last season at Troy, 6.4 yards after the catch per reception for him. So pretty solid there, even at the size, using his, elusiveness in the open field. A little bit of lowering the shoulder. Like, he's not afraid of it. That shows up as well. So I like that. And what I really like to see was Ross's ability against Iowa last year, a team in the Big Ten, more in line with the competition that he's going to be playing against all season at Penn State. He torched Iowa last year. 142 and 2 touchdowns plus a punt return touchdown. He got over the top, like stutter goed this corner into oblivion on the first touchdown, and then just went over the top again, straight go route, I think, for the second one. But I mean, so he's showing you legitimate ability, especially as a deep threat against, legitimate competition last year. He followed that game up against Iowa with a 234-yard, 3-touchdown performance against Florida A&M. So, like,
He had
yeah,
a 98-yard touchdown in that game.
yeah. I mean, like, those 2 weeks, like the first 3 weeks of last year, he had 3 games over 100 yards, a 200-yard game. And it was like, man, this is like, we're in for something special. And he had a, good rest of the year. It didn't quite match that pace. He ended the year with 75 catches, 1,042 yards, and 11 touchdowns. But I think Ross is the sort of player that, I mean, you can just envision Drew Aller winding up, finding him down the field consistently. And I think despite his size, despite the 170, his ability at the Z position is alluring. And if he has that sort of national scale breakout, because we assume that Penn State will be one of the best teams in the country, they should be. They're returning so much talent from the team from last year, including on the defensive side of the ball. If they have that sort of a year again, get deep into the college football playoff, and Ross is the guy, he could seize hold of some of the real estate that is available in this wide receiver class, because after the first few names, like, there's so much room for guys to climb. So I think the crystal ball here is pretty clear to keep your eyes on this wide receiver room at Penn State, and Devontae Ross in particular.
Yeah, it jumps off the screen as one of those speedster receivers. Almost looks like his uniform's too big for him.
Yeah.
In that Troy jersey. I mean, their numbers are massive. It takes up half of his body, but he, I mean, is so fast where he's just setting up any kind of double move. He's gonna burn you if you bite on it. And then he's not like breaks tackles pretty well for a small player, which I was pretty impressed by. So I will, and then you get the like bigger school bump and like the national spotlight bump and like the playoff bump. I talk about that a lot when you get like late in the season because more eyes are just on you. Because like as much as people dive in and watch every single game, you get really into it, and it's like, well, when these guys are on national TV, every week, then you get a little bit more of a bump. So if you're hearing like Drew Aller to Devontae Ross down the field, touchdown Lions, it's like feels a little different than when you're lighting up, Florida A&M.
Especially when it's round 2 of the college football
Right.
playoff and that 90-yard bomb hits, and it's like now everybody's like, who the hell was that guy?
Yeah.
He's really fast.
Who's
So
Ross?
it happens. It does happen. All right, the crystal ball keeps rolling.
Okay, I'm doing a little bit of a magic 8 ball thing with it, where I'm like asking
Ooh.
it a question and seeing
Ooh.
if it maybe it'll respond. Crystal ball, will this be a good class? I'm just trying to go big picture here. I just need an answer, and it's coming through. It's showing me names from last year, showing me names like Caleb Johnson, Tyler Warren, Cam Ward, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins. What is it saying? Why is it? These are all players we didn't talk about last summer. These are all players that came on throughout the season. It's saying that this will become a better class. This will maybe not stack up to the classes of old, but it's not going to be what we think it is today. Those names plus Jalen Knoll, Kyle Williams, Cam Scadaboo, R.J. Harvey, Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo. Those are all names that didn't even come up in our discussions last summer, and that's where we're at right now. We're talking about a class that is incomplete. We're talking about guys that we feel confident about that are going to be good, and we have bones with our number one players at each position. We talk about, Jeremiyah Love, Jordan Tyson, and Eli Stowers as like our number one guys. And we feel good about those players, I think, collectively, and really good about Love and Tyson especially. So you start slotting in some like breakout players behind the names that we already have, and it becomes a little clearer how this class comes together. Because right now, yes, it's concerning, whatever, like it's a quote unquote bad class. It's only August. Games haven't even been played yet. So there are guys that we haven't uttered their name once that are going to come out and become real players, like maybe Devontae Ross.
I felt like at first it was like we're asking the crystal ball for like the meaning of life. Like what's this class? But the crystal ball, well played, showing us those names. It's a little humbling,
Yeah.
honestly, because you come in to a new year and you kind of think you have all the answers, and you kind of think like, here's what the class looks like, here are the guys, but it's like you said, like the crystal ball said, these guys emerge every single year. And it's not even the fact of, oh, you missed them. It's like guys just take big steps forward. And that is something that, like Caleb Johnson, unpredictable
Yeah.
because of, the nature of his season in 2023, which was hampered by injury, comes out, has a big year. So I do think that there has been a little bit of a doom and gloom tone to a lot of our discussions so far about this class. And specifically when we're talking about like our top 12, or if you listen to Superflex last week, like there's a little bit of that, like, man, like this class though, I think we need to take a step back and just be like, it looks like this today, but also that's why we play the games,
Exactly.
and it could get a lot more fun in 4 months.
Yep. And that's like I was just looking because I was curious, like, you know, what did it look like last year at this time, and who could we have missed? And It's a lot of players. It's our
It's a,
number one tight end, our number one running back, and the number one overall quarterback. Like we just didn't have at the time. So,
yeah.
or number three running back, number one tight end, and the 101. So, and like 4 first round dynasty picks.
Yep.
So like that's just where we're at.
Yep. I went back to even 2024 while we were doing this too, and like I mean, Brian Thomas Jr.,
Yep.
A.D. Mitchell.
Yep.
These are guys that we were not talking about at all. They were not where they were. Lad McConkey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every year. So
a lot of names are going to come up throughout the season. So let's stay positive. Let's stay excited. And let's be optimistic about where this class might go.
man, I love the crystal ball. This gives you like a little bit of that, all right, buddy, just stand back. I have all the answers. You don't.
Right.
And then I'm like, you're right. You're right, crystal ball. I will just sit back and have fun this college football season.
I love fun.
I love fun too. And I think the crystal ball is maybe starting to manifest a fun player here right now. I'm seeing some silhouettes making guys miss, turning on the Jets. Oh, was that a punt return even? Who the hell is this guy? Why? Oh my God. Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Panthers. Oh, I know. I think that the crystal ball is saying that Pittsburgh's running back, Desmond Reid, is going to have another 1,500 plus yard all purpose season and become the trendy running back name in the 2026 class. Interesting, crystal ball. What do you mean by trendy? Well, let's unpack this one a little bit. Desmond Reid, who is this? He's 5'8", 175. So immediately when I'm doing my homework over the summer and trying to find players to watch for the upcoming season, I see a running back that was extremely productive but weighs 175, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, pure and simple, I don't care. Because how many times is that player going to be relevant? I mean, Devon Achane and who else?
Right.
And even Achane was heavier than that. But Desmond Reid. So last season, he jumps to Pitt. He was coming from Western Carolina. 2 years at Western Carolina, had over 800 yards rushing in both seasons. Also added over 200 yards receiving in both of those seasons. So over 1,000 yards total both years at Western Carolina. So he jumps to Pitt, which, Pittsburgh running backs, there's a little bit of a history there. I mean, Izzy Abanikanda, like
Go
that
Pack,
was the
go.
one go Pack, go. Maybe someday, but even, beyond that, there's James Conner, LaShawn McCoy. Like there's a lot of running back. There's a little bit of a lineage there. None of them were 175, but alas, I mean, he jumps to Pitt and has a really, really strong season. Had, like I said, over 1,500 all-purpose yards, had 968 on the ground, 580 receiving, 9 total touchdowns. He was also a return man for them. So that's yardage and touchdowns were not even included in those numbers. But so he was kind of a threat for this team, his first season in the FBS. When you turn him on, elite change of direction. I mean, you better at this size, and he does. He is a nightmare. Like, he will stop on a dime, cut 90 degrees, and be moving the other way and be accelerating in the blink of an eye on top of it. 64 total missed tackles forced across receiving and rushing on 236 total touches last season. So he's like a little firecracker, basically. And I think what the crystal ball means by trendy is that if we look at this running back class today, and this kind of goes hand in hand with our last point, which is yes, I'm sure more running backs and more players in general will emerge over the course of the season. But if we look at what we have today and say this is a down running back class, I think this class in general leaves something to be desired today. I think a player like Reed can kind of become a folk hero a little bit. Like, I think you're going to have members of the Dynasty community when we get to February and people start diving into film and you have two or three good running backs that you're talking about. And you're like, who else? Who are the sleeper guys? Maybe that 5'8", 175 guy that's making everybody miss and putting up 1,500 yards and putting up over 500 yards as a receiver, maybe that guy starts to become a little bit alluring. Maybe you start to talk about him as a sleeper. Maybe you start to talk about him as, hey, my guy is Desmond Reid. You guys better get your eyes on him because he's really fun. So I think, obviously, despite the size, which is a major concern in terms of his NFL role, I think the dynamic skill set could make him one of the most fun running backs in college football for sure this upcoming season. And that could be enough to get his name at least involved in the overall NFL draft conversation.
It has all the things you need in your tool bag if you're going to be an undersized running back. He has the receiving and then can make like guys miss in bunches. And so you pair that together and you get, an interesting player. And it's always nice when you have a guy that can, be a plus on special teams because it allows you to be sticky on rosters. If you're that good at kick returns, it's like, looking at the Packers specifically right now, Bo Melton is so good at special teams that they're just like, okay, you're going to play cornerback just because we want to keep you on the team. Like, we can't fit you in at receiver. But that's the value of having a guy that's really good on special teams. So if he's that good of a returner, like, find a way onto a roster, find a way to be a third down back in this league and maybe make an impression and then, work your way towards relevance more and more as, the gritty way when you're 175, because it's not going to be easy.
All right, the crystal ball, man. We've been all over the place. We've been big picture. We've been getting some sleeper names potentially already in here. What do we have next?
Yeah, let's take a look. The crystal ball is showing me 2019 Alabama. Showing me Josh Jacobs. I'm supposed to be looking at the future here, crystal ball. Why am I seeing Josh Jacobs at Alabama in 2019? It's dissolving into Jeremiyah Love. We're seeing both of them side by side. What could this possibly mean? Jeremiyah Love will be the most sought after running back in dynasty drafts since Josh Jacobs in 2019. What does that mean? Right? So you might say, well, what about Bijan Robinson? Right? What about Ashton Genty? What about, we've had these names before. Let me go through the years. 2025, we had Genty, but we also had Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, etc. Really good running back class. So though Genty was highly sought after, if you didn't get him, it was like, well, I get a consolation prize a little bit, right? In 2024, Bijan and Gibbs was the conversation. Though Bijan was the headliner, Gibbs kind of stole the show as like the opener, right? That's how concerts work.
Yes.
Yeah. So, while Bijan dominated, it was like, yeah, but like we had somebody in our league trade back to get Gibbs, and it was just as good. Like, he felt pretty good about it. 2023 was a bad running back class. There was no guy that was highly sought after. 2022, it was Breece Hall, Ken Walker, pretty much the entire time leading up. After the draft, it was a little more heavily Breece, but you didn't feel bad if you ended up with Ken Walker. 2021, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams. Another, it's not so bad if you don't end up with whatever guy you like best. Because there were, Javonte RB1 truthers, same with Najee, same with Etienne. 2020, CH took 101 from Jonathan Taylor. That was a real thing. Though it shouldn't have happened, it did. And then there were also the DeAndre Swift and Cam Akers people. So 2019, we could roll all the way back to. And we see it's Josh Jacobs. And though the Miles Sanders hive existed, outside of that, it was like round 3 running backs like David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris, and Alexander Madison. I think that mirrors what we're seeing in this 2026 class closest, where Jeremiyah Love is our Josh Jacobs. And then, maybe Jonah Coleman ends up as a Miles Sanders. Maybe it's somebody else. But, like, there's nobody else that's as impactful in the Dynasty community and as, like, a pure asset as Jeremiyah Love is.
The crystal ball is it's kind of doing two things in one here. I think it's spot on. Like that's a great parallel to draw. And I think an even bigger parallel that might exist is the 2019 class in general. I think kind of feels like what we might be in store for with this class.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a potential premier running back, a first round running back, heading, assumedly for the top spot. You don't have really a lot of notoriety after that. I mean, you're going to have your like David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, like those guys will exist. One of them could also be playing at Washington like Miles Sanders did and Jonah Coleman. But like those were not guys, to the crystal ball's point, that were highly sought after names. And then I think the wide receiver group is kind of similar as well, where it's going to be a lot of like, well, maybe Jordan Tyson is, a lot better than our, like, depending on what you thought about N'Keal Harry at the time. Like, I guess
Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood Brown was in there. I think Harry, what's interesting is they both play at Arizona State,
right.
But I think Harry was like viewed as the top guy in the, I mean, he went in the first round.
Yep.
Which Tyson, we assume that'll be the case as well. But then there could be a lot of like pick your flavor type of, there's going to be a DK Metcalf, Nick Harbor connection that we can draw. Maybe like
who's our AJ Brown?
Well, that's the question. We want to find out who that player is. But no, that's really interesting because I do like to like think about classes, kind of how they relate to other classes, because it helps you understand the value a little bit better, understand the expectations, and understand. So to consider that Jeremiyah Love could have the same sort of effect in this class as a player like Jacobs, when it was like, man, if I need a running back and I need one bad, or like I really need to get the future of my running back room started, like, yeah, the price could be pretty crazy to try to get up for a player like Love, when it's like the other option is wait a year for the next class or try to go get, a vet or like a younger, like higher ranked, like dynasty player that's going to cost like a lot more probably.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where you end up is like, do you pay what, like 3 firsts to get up to 101, or do you pay, 2 firsts and a player to get Jonathan Taylor, or to get like, one of these guys that has, like, maybe you try to, buy low on Bryce right now because he, has his struggles. But it's like, I don't know. It's going to be expensive to get Jeremiyah Love is all I know for sure.
Interesting. All right, crystal ball. I see you. We're going all the way back to 2019. I love that. But interesting. We have another older player, 2021. Trey Lance. Is Trey Lance re-entering the NFL draft? That's weird. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's a different Lance at North Dakota State. That's Bryce Lance. That's his brother. Bryce Lance. Interesting. Okay, crystal ball. Oh, wait. Now the image of Bryce Lance is splitting into Christian Watson. What the hell is going on here? Oh, I got it. Bryce Lance, North Dakota State's Bryce Lance, is going to Christian Watson his way through the draft process and up the draft boards come postseason time. There it is, crystal ball. Nice job. Bryce Lance, man, 6'3", 207, playing wide receiver, not a quarterback like his brother. Last season was his first year playing really at all. He redshirted in 2021, did not play in like hardly at all in 22 or 23. And then all of a sudden gets to start in 24, has 75 catches for 1,069 yards and 17 touchdowns, which was a North Dakota State school record for receiving touchdowns in a season. So Bryce Lance puts his name on the map with a season like that. He was also named in the Feldman's Freaks article. We did not talk about him a couple weeks ago when we did that, but he was in there as well at, putting up some kind of crazy numbers at this size, 6'3", 207, like I said. He had 1,000, if he had 1,000 yards, 100 yards in both of the postseason games for North Dakota State last year, including 3 touchdowns in the what I believe is the whatever they call it, the semifinal, whatever FCS thing is against South Dakota State. So I mean, he popped off at the end of the year. I believe I'm going to get in trouble if I get this wrong, but I think they won the FCS championship last year.
I'll fact check you while you go.
Defeating Montana State, but please fact check me. But in watching Bryce Lance, I think I'm right.
Nailed it.
Okay. The Bison fans would have just come out in droves to be like, "You son of a bitch!"
Can you name North Dakota State's coach?
Huh? Can I name?
Can you name their coach?
Is his last name Lance?
No, that'd be Trey Lance is their coach.
Yeah, he's not doing anything, right?
I'm not gonna tell
who
you.
is it?
No, I'm gonna let it fester.
That's messed up. Well, Bryce Lance, whoever he's being coached by, like, he's fun. I mean, I'm not really operating off of like I'm diving into all 22 North Dakota State, but like from what I could see, what I could glean from what I watched, like he's fun. And I think one of the things that really showed up for me was his ability at the catch point, which is very unlike Christian Watson. I think we can connect the parallel that they both played at North Dakota State. They're both bigger. They're both freak athletes. I think Bryce Lance could have a similar postseason process as Watson, where he went from like Senior Bowl straight to like the top of round 2 in the NFL draft, when before that there weren't many people talking about him in that way. But I think what you get with Lance is like a completely different player at the catch point. 16 of 26 in contested situations last year. That's 61.5%, only 2 drops over the course of the season. And there's plenty of like moments on film of him just kind of skying down the field in the end zone. Obviously the 17 touchdowns, a lot of that's coming in the red zone using his frame against obviously inferior competition. But I think given his, the bloodlines, there's obviously this kind of NFL pipeline from North Dakota State for some of these guys. I think Bryce Lance could be one of the like quote unquote small school sleepers that ends up being not so much of a sleeper by like March of next year.
Tim Polasek, coach of North Dakota State.
That guy that I
didn't
have
that.
heard of.
They won 5 championships in a row, 8 of 9 at one point from 2011 to 2019.
Shocking stuff. Absolute wagon.
I'm doing that because I haven't watched this player, so I don't want to add nothing to this conversation.
I love that. Should we talk about Trey Lance's NFL prospectus while you're
He's looked pretty
finishing
good in
up?
preseason, I can tell you that. Hopefully, he plays good. Last weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
right. But anyway, crystal ball talking about a different quarterback. I'm seeing. Oh no, this is from last year. This is Anthony Richardson. Seeing him move behind the line of scrimmage. Oh no, it's shifting to LaNorris Sellers. What could it be? I hope it's not saying that LaNorris Sellers is going to have the same arc as Anthony Richardson, because that wouldn't be ideal. No, okay. LaNorris Sellers is going to finish as the fantasy quarterback one easily, is what it's saying. And it's saying that he moves similarly to Anthony Richardson. So behind the line of scrimmage, one of my favorite things that Anthony Richardson did was avoid pressure and move in the pocket and know when to go and when to not go. LaNorris Sellers has that. He has that kind of savvy ability behind the line of scrimmage to avoid and move and slide in the pocket and then take off and break sacks. But the thing about LaNorris Sellers is he has really good timing and accuracy, which Anthony Richardson did not have. That was his big red flag, something that came up through the draft process. He also has better touch than Richardson did. Richardson kind of has two gears, and it's like he's going to rip it across the middle to beat a window, or he's going to gun it downfield. Sellers seems like he has layers all over the field. I'm making this comparison, obviously, because they're both mobile, big quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson kind of skyrocketed throughout the year, became the number 4 overall pick. Like, as much as we want to look back on Anthony Richardson, it's kind of a referendum on this like raw quarterback mobility, like all of these things. Richardson was viewed completely differently than we see him now. Yes, the accuracy was sporadic. He needed a year to sit. He didn't get that, and like maybe we'll see more and more improvement. Like, we didn't see week 1 of the preseason when he got injured. We haven't seen week 2 of the preseason yet. Maybe he looked really bad. Maybe he looked really good. But all of that doesn't really matter, because LaNorris Sellers is a much more polished version of what we saw out of Richardson and what we were excited about for Richardson. And that's the like big quarterback that can throw it down the field, but also like has the more nuanced ability of layering it across the middle and like throwing with anticipation and timing. So I'm excited about Sellers. That's what's moved him up my board more and more. Richardson was my number 1 quarterback through the process because I was so excited about him. And Sellers just feels like a more polished product of that. The only thing that I think is like he's worse at than Richardson is the short yardage running. And I think that's a good thing. I don't need that's like a reason that Richardson has been so banged up in his like short NFL career, is because he's taking these hits and he's putting his shoulder down and he's like running QB power around 4th and 2 and like barreling over a linebacker to get 3 yards in like the middle of the second quarter. It's just like the worth, like what's worth it, what's not. Sellers seems to understand that and feels like more of like a pass first player in short yardage, or they just run the ball. Like, he's not afraid of doing the like put his shoulder down and make contact. It's not something that he's afraid to do, but it's just like he's not really utilized as a short yardage runner as much as we saw with Richardson. So
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last week on Superflex, but the idea that, when we're talking about the mobile quarterback of a class, because like in the last 3 years at least, there's been like kind of one guy that stands out as like, man, this is the guy with the ceiling. And with in Richardson's case, that was a player that was extremely raw, and that in his final season kind of showed that he had taken some steps forward, absolutely. And that's what got, us, and particularly you, I think, like super energized about him because, we saw that growth, and like the upside was ridiculous, and he was testing like the best quarterback is, ever tested at the combine and all of the things. And I think, his story is far from written, and I'll say that. Some people could disagree with that, but I think, obviously it's not over for Richardson yet. But I think, and then, obviously last year was Jalen Milroe, who I think was a different story of a player that had gotten reps but hadn't developed as much as you'd hope. There was a little bit from his sophomore to junior year, or actually quite a bit from his sophomore to junior year, but you still weren't at the level that it was like, man, I really like feel strongly that this can be an NFL player. Sellers is so much different than both of those guys. And we'll stick with the Richardson thing here because that's a lot closer than what we had with Milroe, obviously. But in terms of what you saw from Sellers last year, it was so much more polished, so much cleaner in terms of I can see this player, you know, taking that jump to the NFL and it not being a significant hurdle. Obviously, that is not to say that he had a perfect year of film in his first year as a starting quarterback. It's not to say that I'm not hoping or, needing to see further development from him in 2025, because we absolutely do need to see that. But I think from where he sits today, it's, he's in a much different world than those guys were. So I think the crystal ball once again is all over it here, and I think Sellers is on his way, especially if Arch goes back
That's
to being QB1.
yes, that is the other part of the take is he easily becomes QB1 because Arch Manning is, Crystal Ball's already told us Arch Manning is going back to school. So this is between like Sellers and Drew Aller, and just the rushing upside that Sellers has brings him to that QB1 conversation. And then like, maybe there's people that like Aller more. Don't blame you. But I feel like the combination that Sellers has of really good passing and really good running trumps like what Aller. It's kind of like just does both. I don't know if he doesn't pass as well as Aller, but he runs better. And so like I feel like it ends up evening out where, I like the idea of a guy getting 650 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think you could. I
You
think
could make the
there's.
argument.
You can make the argument.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that he throws better
that
than
he's a
Aller.
better passer right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, crystal ball, talk to me. All right. Oh, here we go. Here we go. The Ohio State University.
Oh yeah.
Come on, baby. The
OH.
national champions. What do you got for me? We're on offense. I like that a lot. Is this going to be Carnell Tate? Who's this going to be? Wait a minute. Is what? There's no way, right? That's number 2.
Caleb Downs on offense?
Caleb Downs is playing offense? What the hell?
Mekhi Buka?
Oh my god. The crystal ball. This is nuts. Caleb Downs is going to be playing offense in 2025 and everybody is going to lose their collective minds.
I can't wait to comp him to Travis Hunter.
Well, don't worry, because several clickbait articles on the internet already have.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Crystal ball. What the hell is it talking about? Well, this goes back to last season, in which Ryan Day was talking about utilizing their brand new superstar safety, Caleb Downs, on offense. So much so that he actually attended running back meetings through the spring and the summer last year. He never got on the field on offense, though. But the questions have resurfaced ahead of this upcoming season. Will Caleb Downs finally get to play offense this year? And Ryan Day has not said yay or nay definitively, as a coach typically does not give definitive statements. But that alone leaves the door open for the possibility of Caleb Downs, the generational, and that time I mean it, safety prospect, who may just in fact get some touches on offense this year. And if that happens, I can only imagine that we will be completely calm and rational in the dynasty community and not assume that Caleb Downs will play offense in the NFL at all, right? Because the dynasty community is extremely rational and normal about these things. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
So I just found an article. It's from marca.com. No free ads, but I just want to, in case you want to go there. And I was going to look at their headline says, "Is Caleb Downs the next uniquely gifted two-way player after Travis Hunter?" And I clicked on it, and you either have to register or you have to pay $14.99 a year to access this website. I'll be doing neither. Because I don't think he is the next Travis Hunter, but I am excited to see if they try to get the ball in his hands every once in a while, because dynamic playmakers deserve the chance to make dynamic plays. And if he's going to be, getting jet sweeps or wide receiver reps or running back reps, he's not getting running back reps, people. Like, I know he went in the running back rooms and Ryan Day challenged him to earn reps at the running back position. Not going to happen. Like, that's not something you do with one of your best players. You're not going to pound him into a 2-yard gain. It's just unrealistic. But I could see him being like a jet motion wide receiver. That seems pretty likely, kind of a la Keyshawn Nixon. Like, he plays corner and he's a returner, and he'll pop in every once in a while as like a cameo on offense. I wouldn't mind seeing that for Caleb Downs. But no, he's not Travis Hunter. Yes, it would be cool to see him on offense too. Yes, he's still an awesome player. Don't overreact.
I think this one's a little goofy. Like, the crystal ball's kind of being a little tongue in cheek, a little goofy here. But I do think that the real conversation with this one is like, if he does play offense this year at all, like, if he scores a touchdown this year, like, I'm thinking back to like 2014 JJ Watt when they were using him in the red zone as like a tight end or whatever. And it's like he had a few touchdowns. The lore of Caleb Downs can only grow from that point, because I think we're already barreling toward like, where does he fall in terms of a dynasty rookie class as a DB? I mean, we were like back Kyle Hamilton years, it was like middle of the second round potentially. So it's like, if Caleb Downs gets drafted in the top 3 of the upcoming draft, and there's like this lingering thing where it's like, well, they kind of used him on offense a little bit last year. Maybe a team wants to package him a little bit. Like, how high does that player go? I mean, like, you got the generational tag. He's got the cool factor. People are going to want him on their dynasty team because DBs are inherently not fun, and he's a fun player. So, like, I don't know. Does he go at the top of round 2?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me, especially if you're like, well, he might also catch a touchdown every once in a while. Like, that's the allure of Travis Hunter. Like, we can rope him in as a dynasty asset, because this is what we talked about him a lot last year. It's like, if he plays corner, what kind of value does he have? Because Travis Hunter is not like a box nickel corner that's coming up and making tackles, getting sacks. He's a cover corner. And so, like, he's going to need to play some offense to hold the value that we're assigning to him, right? So Caleb Downs is a, like, in-your-face safety that will get nasty, get tackles, get sacks, and then also make the big splash plays. So then, like, if you add in the wrinkle of, like, maybe he'll have 6 catches a season and, like, 4 of them will be touchdowns. Like, that kind of does add a little bit of the, like, unicorn cool factor to Caleb Downs. And then you also get a little bit of the, like, Deion Sanders, the Charles Woodson, where it's only these legendary defensive backs like Patrick Peterson will like go on offense every once in a while and get a couple catches and it'll be all fun and games. But when like the sport becomes too easy, then you try the other side.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I guess don't expect Caleb Downs to become the next Travis Hunter this year, despite what the articles on whatever Martha website you were.
Marca, we have to pay €14.99 to access it.
All right, we're the crystal ball. We're still going. I think we got one left before it turns off for another year.
That's right.
So,
It's kind of a big one. I'm seeing the Bolitnikoff Award. Oh, it's come to life. It's shaking hands with the Heisman Award. They've transformed into. They're wearing orange and purple. It's Cade Klubnik and Antonio Williams sharing the honors stage together. They're going to have a breakout season. We kind of talked about this a little bit last week when we talked about when we talked mostly about Antonio Williams as like this could be a true breakout season for Antonio Williams. And that's like after a pretty solid year last year, 75 catches, 904 yards, 11 touchdowns. Nothing that's that exciting. But he was asked about not declaring for the NFL draft. He said, I quote, "I felt like I was settling. I didn't really like what round I was projected. Give it one more year and leave it all out there." And it's like, that's the type of thing where after you miss 2023, 2024 with foot injuries, and then you come back and you have a pretty good year. We've kind of talked about Antonio Williams as being like, he's so athletically talented and he's so good that like he almost felt like he was coasting a little bit. And he's acknowledging that. And he's saying, I need to be better. And this team is so talented. Cade Klubnik also like had a really good year last year. Statistically is a great quarterback. And if like both of these players show the improvement and the investment that they are saying and that they want to do, then it's just up to, how many stats can you rack up over the year. And then, we'll see where they end up in a dynasty sense, but it can only push them up the board.
yeah, we talked about this last week, like you said, with I think Williams is one of the players that right now it's like he's fine. Like I like Antonio Williams. He's a good player.
Yep.
I think he can go to the next level this year. And I think a big reason that he can do that is because of Cade Klubnik. I think that connection can continue to develop because we saw a big jump from Klubnik last year and a big jump from Antonio Williams last year. So if that connection continues to grow, this team is going to be awesome. I mean, it's going to be one of the best teams in the country if all breaks, the way that it should, given the talent on that roster. So I think that both of them, like the crystal ball is saying, can have these huge seasons, award-winning seasons potentially. But from an NFL draft perspective and from a dynasty rookie perspective, I think Antonio Williams in particular has so much to gain from this year and really cementing himself as like one of the top wide receivers that isn't named Jordan Tyson. Because that's kind of where we have him today. But it's not like he's a no doubter, but like he could get there.
Yeah. Not like we're super confident about Antonio Williams because like we're just like, yeah, he's pretty solid. Like we like what he did and we'll see if he can build on it. Now like move more into the, hey, Antonio Williams, man, he had an incredible season. Like maybe it took him 4 years to really have the like big breakout season, but you could see the signs and then it finally all came together.
All right. The crystal ball has one final take to share. There's flames. There's some fire growing. What the hell? Oh, I think this is going to be a hot take. Uh-oh. What do you got for me, crystal ball? Oregon. Okay. Seeing the Ducks. Ooh, I like big number 18, Kenyon Sadiq, 6'3", 255. Talked about him on the Freaks List episode a few weeks ago. The crystal ball, no, it can't be. The crystal ball is telling me that by the end of the season, Kenyon Sadiq will be the unanimous, unquestioned tight end 1 in this draft class.
What a world. I thought it was Eli Stowers' crystal ball.
This is nuts. I thought it was Eli Stowers too. I love Eli Stowers.
I mean, I love Kenyon Sadiq too. I'm for it, but it must mean this tight end. Hopefully, the tight end race was good.
Yeah, what? This is not okay. All right, and so all right. I think I'm understanding a little bit here. So if you remember, we had a kind of a whole conversation about this last week. Maybe you didn't even catch it if you didn't listen. But we were talking about tight ends and how the last 2 years have sort of warped our perception of the tight ends for dynasty rookie drafts because we've had Brock Bowers and Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren, 3 absolutely premier talents at the position. And when we compared that to like 2023, when it was Dalton Kincaid and Michael Mayer, and it was like Dalton Kincaid was my number 12 player pre-draft. Michael Mayer was my number 15 player pre-draft. That was kind of the world that we were living in. And we were talking about Eli Stowers. Man, I like him a lot. I like him quite a bit. But maybe he's more in that sort of like Dalton Kincaid sort of a tier. But hold on a minute, because Kenyon Sadiq is the sort of player that I think right now, coming into the year, is one of these players that like we haven't seen it yet. We've seen flashes because he was behind an NFL tight end and a high-end prospect in Terrence Ferguson. Even in that role, Sadiq managed 267 yards last year on 22 catches, now primed for the full breakout season. Primed to be the number 1 tight end, primed to be the guy. He's shown an ability as a blocker and a receiver. There's a lot of buzz coming out of Oregon's camp right now about what we might see out of Sadiq this year. So if we kind of take all of that and think about the fact that this is one of the freakiest freaks we have in college football at this size and some of the numbers that Feldman was talking about, this could be a hell of a year. This could be a true breakout season in which Kenyon Sadiq kind of announces himself as a receiving, blocking weapon at this position. But I think I'll speak, the crystal ball is saying one thing. I'm going to say something of my own. I think if this happens, I think even if Sadiq becomes the, consensus, he's the best tight end, I think Stowers isn't far behind. I don't think there's any world where it's like there's only one guy. It's both guys. It's just that maybe one of them, like maybe Sadiq passes Stowers when it's said and done, but I think we end up with 2 guys then that we're talking about as potential first round dynasty rookie tight ends.
You can have your cake and eat it too with both of them. So, yeah, I mean, I would be really happy with this outcome. The Kenyon Sadiq, like I loved his tape. I loved what he put together and how like fluid he looked. And I know all tight ends are athletic, but Sadiq seemed quicker and a little burstier than most do because some kind of lumber around. So I'm all in because that means that this is a good tight end class. If we have 2 really good ones, that's more than enough because normally you don't sometimes you only have 1 really good one. And I think Stowers is really good. And so Sadiq becomes the tight end 1. Then you have, both cakes.
And I'll give Stowers a little bit of credit here as well, because Sadiq was number 10 on the Feldman's Freaks list. That was the highest tight end, obviously a top 10 position for tight end, pretty substantial. Stowers was 16th. These are
Pretty
both
good.
absolute freak shows
Yep.
at this position. So,
hell yeah. Oh, it's going dim. It's gone black
dim.
again.
Man,
Can't answer all our questions, right?
yep. You only get so many, but I think we've gained a lot of insights from the crystal ball once again this year. All of them will come true. So, just keep that in
Need
mind.
to know if Malachi Corley's going to put it together this year.
No, you forgot.
Please. Will Traylon Burks ever make a roster? Please.
Oh, man. Well, it's, college football's here, man. That's what this is all about. We're having fun with it. We're doing a little predicting, getting ourselves psyched up for this thing, which kicks off tomorrow night. If you are listening to this on release Thursday, tomorrow it all begins. A small but important slate of games. Important because college football and football in general has returned. Meaningful football has returned. We are back.
God bless the fall season, man. I just need the air to start cooling down.
Indescribable how much fall just fills me with happiness.
Just the cool, crisp air.
Yeah.
The heavier beers, the warm food,
football games,
chili, soup, wings.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I can like eat a thing of chili without just sweating.
Deliver it to me right
Come
now.
On.
Well, let's get psyched up for college football. Let's get ready to do that. But before we get there, make sure you find us on Twitter, camp_dynasty. Give us a little follow over there. TikTok, camp.dynasty, if you want to do that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel and like the video before you leave, because that helps us out quite a bit, as you know, as a YouTube user. You know how this thing works. And if you're listening on the pod feed right now, like, rate, review, follow, share. Yeah, 5 stars, please. But whatever.
Only if you feel like we deserve it.
You can make your own decisions.
If you made it this far,
right.
Why not?
You're still, yeah, right. Come on. And all of that's free, by the way. So just putting that out.
Not €14.99 a year.
It's not Marco.com or whatever. So all right. There it is, man. Happy college football season. We next week, it's badge time, baby.
God, we are so back.
We're so back.
Unbelievable.
Thanks for stopping by Camp Dynasty this week, and we'll see you next week.